Alrighty, Lumberjacks, welcome back to another episode of the Top 10. Basically, the Top 10 is top 10 questions asked for FDR Logging. Basically, any kind of questions fans ask, any kind of questions other developers ask. I just go through a list of the top 10 questions that I picked for this particular time period and hopefully give you guys appropriate answers to them. So, without further ado, I'm just going to kick things off here. Oh, just on another note, I had to do some mass updating of my descriptions on YouTube. So what happened was all my, I used to put the little timestamps for the questions in the bottom of the videos. Well, those all got wiped out in my big mass changing there. And I haven't had a chance to go back and re-add them yet. So that's something I'm going to do. I just haven't had the time to do it yet. So if you're wondering why in the past videos I said, oh yeah, just look at the timestamp below. Well, those aren't there right now. I haven't gone back and changed them yet. So when I get some time, I'll go fix that maybe. If not, you know, just watch the video and listen to the questions. That works too. So without further ado, I'm just going to kick it off here with the questions. So question number 1 from Ryan Kelter. Why don't you have any or many dangle heads? So that's a good question. So I don't have pretty much any equipment other than the Plow, which is that riser loader, that have dangle heads. Mostly because in the past I haven't been able to make dangle heads work properly. They cause lots of issues and the physics don't agree with them. The trees actually don't agree with them whatsoever. The only one, like I said, I've ever been able to do is that Plow so far, which is that riser one, and it works pretty good. It's not 100%, and there's still lots of things I'd like to see from it. But for the most part, it does the job, and I think now, over the past few weeks, I've done lots of changes to the mods themselves, and the trees themselves, and the physics on the trees, so I personally think we'll be able to get her done for sure, but I don't know, we'll see. I'm going to try a whole bunch of different dangle head ideas. I'm even working on a knuckle boom again right now to see if I can make it work. It's a really hard thing to try to make all that stuff work because it's not really meant to work in this game the way the physics are. Not in the way it should in real life. So yeah, that's the reason I don't have dangle heads. It's just because I ran into so many problems using the dangle heads that I kind of just said, you know what, I'll just make everything fixed head because what's the point in fighting with these machines all the time. So yeah, hopefully that explains that question. Dangle heads coming, but right now there aren't many because of that particular reason. Which leads us right into our next question. From question number 2 from Big Daryl. It says, can you make a knuckle boom or heel loader? So to answer that question, I almost answered it in the last one. I am currently working on another knuckle boom loader right now. I'm trying to think of some kind of advanced technique I can to make it actually pick up the trees. The problem was the grapples on those ones. No matter what I do, those grapples will not keep that tree in the pocket of where the heel is. So what'll happen is you'll grab it with a dangle head version of that claw and then set it back into the knuckle of the boom and then try to put the weight of the tree into that knuckle. But the problem is if you, it works fine if you're up and down, but if you try to turn the cab from side to side, that log will just pop right out of that knuckle and go flying around, and it looks really ridiculous. But it definitely doesn't work the way I want it to. Like I said, I'm working on another knuckle boom right now. If I can get the knuckle to work, I will. If not, it's just going to be a shovel logger basically with a big dangle, excuse me, with a big dangly head on it. So I don't know. I'm going to explore. I'm going to try some stuff out and see what happens. But if you don't get a knuckle boom, you'll get a pretend knuckle boom that just has a shovel head on it, and will kind of like the old one I used to have there. But I don't know. I'll experiment, try it out, see what happens. But yeah, knuckle boom's something that we're working on for sure. Question number 3 from David Pesh. Can you make machines that change the terrain height? So I'm assuming this question means, can I make a machine that like alters the terrain, like dig a hole in the ground or, you know, pile high? The only kind of machine that can do that is the Amarok, which is this one actually conveniently parked right here. And it doesn't do anything to the actual terrain, but you can take wood chips and fill in the terrain with wood chips to alter it yourself. Like I said, you can take that shovel off the back of this one here, use that shovel loader to pick up like these chunks of wood chips, and they basically act as ground, right? so you can actually alter these and you know, make your own roads, make your own trails, fill in ditches, that kind of stuff if you really want to. As far as the actual ground itself, this ground is only editable in the map itself. There's no machines that can manipulate the actual physics of the ground, so you'd have to build your own roads out of wood chips and then play with them with the machine there, but you can't alter these bad boys on their own, or the ground on its own, which is unfortunate, but you know, maybe in the next game, maybe they'll let you do some terrain altering or mud physics or something, but most likely not. So let's see here. Question number 4 from Jacob Blackburn. Have you tried doing hella logging? So not to ruin any surprises, but yes, I'm definitely working on hella logging right now. I'm working with Lambo Mods, very cool dude, lots of really great mods. He also has lots of helicopter scripts and helicopter mods, and he is sharing that content with me right now. I've already got a new helicopter model that I purchased there, and that's all ready to go. I just need to bake it and get it all ready, and then hopefully I'll be able to apply his scripts. I'm aiming to either make a cable style one that you can you know, fly in and then hook with the cable, but I also want to do like a sort of a single player version, because obviously hooking a cable in single player is not going to be really handy. So what I'll probably do is get one with a claw, like a hanging winch claw. I just don't know how I'm going to do it yet, so you guys will have to bear with me on that for sure. I'd like to make one I can lower and swing, and I don't know. I don't know if it's possible. I'm going to try, though. Lambo's got a really cool, what is it? It's like a log cart that hooks from the helicopter, and you can like hook all the logs or pile them on there and then fly away with them. I think he's just in beta testing on that. He's having a few issues, but yeah, it looks really cool. So hella logging is definitely something I want to do, and with future maps, if I ever make hella logging like a legitimate thing, I'd love to make maps where there's islands that you have to fly to, and the only way to get them back to the mainland would be to like chopper them over. I think that'd be pretty cool. So we'll see how it goes, but hella logging is definitely something in the not too distant future that we're looking at for sure. Let's see here. Question number 5 is from Fragdad. So basically his question, I kind of summarized it, but it was basically why would you use dangle heads and fixed heads, and what's the purpose of each? Like, in what situations would you, why is there dangle heads, why are there fixed heads, right? So my personal opinion from working with real life equipment and working with this in-game stuff is, why wouldn't you just make everything a fixed head? You have so much more control with a fixed head than you do a dangle head in terms of actual, you know, like manipulability of the logs themselves. I personally am a huge fan of fixed heads, but I definitely see the application of why dangle heads do exist. For instance, the Paluda, it's a lot easier to use that dangle head to unload shorts. So for instance, the dangle head's always centered, it's always, the weight point's always on the bottom. So if you pick up a big load of logs, it always stays, you know, like kind of in its base point of lowering. There's less hydraulics, so it's cheaper. Like, I'm talking in real life terms here. So basically, if you do a grab with a dangle head, it always pulls gravity to center, right? So you don't have to manipulate the logs. You don't have to, you know, shift them around and use the fixed head to control the logs. It always just hangs. So if you're going for a quick and dirty way to unload shorts, it's really good to just go grab, chuck, grab, chuck, grab, chuck, without having to think about manipulating the boom or the head in any particular way. Now, fixed heads are a lot more control. I like them for loading a lot more than I like dangle heads, although I haven't done any dangle head loading in a long time, so maybe with the new one it's a lot better. But you have a lot more control with a fixed head because you can manipulate the direction in, like, you know, 3 degrees versus 2. So I think it makes a big difference. In real life, I would say the biggest reason dangle heads versus fixed heads would be expenses. I know for a fact, working at the mill that I work at, we have both fixed heads and a couple dangle heads equipment, and the dangle heads are much cheaper according to the mechanics to maintain. Well, it depends who's operating it, but it's a lot cheaper for them to maintain them because in these fixed heads, the hydraulics are generally much more abused trying to manipulate the logs on a, you know, like up and down axis, as opposed to a dangle head that just goes off that one joint that just sits there and swings, right? So in real life, it comes down to user preference. What did you grow up using? Maybe there was a person who used a dangle head his whole life and he knows it so well that's all he wants. It's kind of the same difference for John Deere controls versus cat controls. I mean, if you grew up your whole life using John Deere controls, you're just as good as somebody with cat controls, but your preference is John Deere. So I would say dangle heads in a way are probably similar. If you grew up your whole life using dangle heads, you know, and then you switch to a fixed head, you might not be as good, right? So maybe it comes down to preference of what the operator likes as well. But expense, operation, and maybe speed would be the only factors that separate fixed heads from dangle heads. So, I mean, you could go ask a logging corporation why they would choose them over or not, but my guess would be cost effectiveness for repairing the booms. Yeah, that would be my answer. Whether it's wrong or not, I don't know, but that would be my my common sense answer for that. Question number 6 comes from AJ Deere. What is your favorite company / logging brand in real life? You know, I don't know. I like Caterpillar. I like John Deere. I like, you know, Hitachi. I like Komatsu. I like them all, really. I don't think there's any that I don't like. Favorite one? I don't know. It's got to be a tie between the John Deere and Caterpillar. No, you know what? Like, Tiger Cat's probably was always my number one. So I would say, let's go Tiger Cat number 1. And then a direct tie between Caterpillar and John Deere after that. Because I really do like Tiger Cat equipment. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, looking at my collection of toys in front of me above my monitor here, I'm like, yeah, you know, it's all John Deere Cat or Tiger Cat. So I would definitely have to go with Tiger Cat 1, John Deere, and Caterpillar tied in a close second with each other. Yeah. Because, I don't know, I really like... if you really look at the equipment, a lot of that stuff is very similar to each other. Like the John Deere stuff, model bodies look exactly the same, just different colors. So, I mean, it's really up to you what you prefer preference-wise. But as far as I know, a lot of the machines do pretty much the same thing, just some better than others. Like, you know, Ford, Dodge, Chrysler, you know, or Ford, Dodge, Chevy, sorry. Same difference between what they do better and what they don't do better. So, yeah, anyway, that kind of roughly answers that question. Question number 7 is from Trevor Morin. Are you able to put a chipper on a skidder instead of a tractor? So what I've done, I mean, technically you could put it on a skidder, but what I've done actually, conveniently, it's also right here. I put a chipper on something called the Chimera, and this thing basically is your wood chipper now. This is going to be coming out here on April 20th is the big release for the next mods, which is actually a question later, so I won't answer that yet. But yeah, basically this thing will be the new wood chipper. It is a monster of a little thing, and it can suck up wood chips and also spray the chips out of the pipe at the top there. So I think it'll be really fun for people to play around with and have some fun wasting away the landscape with it. So yeah, I don't see it coming to a skidder, although it is possible. This thing will basically be your new wood chipper as soon as it comes out here. I'm just on my final stages of fixing it up and beta testing it. So yeah, that's roughly answer that question without wrecking the other questions. So that goes right into the next question. This is from Tanky43. What is the new V12 pack? So new V12 pack is basically a whole bunch of machines, which are all listed here. All of these machines have been rescaled, reweighted, rebalanced, remodeled, retextured, everything that you could possibly do to pretty much make them new machines. Yeah, they're beautiful, beautiful equipment. Like I said, they've all gone down to scale now, which has been the big one. I actually use rulers and little people and stuff in the editor to try to find the equivalent. I mean, it might be like a few inches off here and there just because it's really hard to get exact perfect, but if you compare this stuff to the in-game stuff, we're pretty much on par with in-game equipment. All of my trailers, loaders work with in-game equipment. The only thing you'll see different on these is the weight. I've changed the weight on all of these to be, they are extremely heavy. They're still haulable with my equipment. I don't believe you'd be able to haul them with the in-game stuff just because of what they are. But I had to crank the weight up. Originally, I dropped the weight down, dropped the tree weight down, and I was seeing some uncool results from that, being the trees would shoot all over the place. So we've added weight back on because we wanted to be closer to stock equipment in-game. And now we've added weight back on the machine so that they handle the trees very realistically. I just released a video a few days ago that had it was like a mod test showing off picking up logs and putting them on the truck. And the way they settle now is just so unbelievably good that I don't see myself changing it now. Like, I'm scared to touch it because I'm like, oh, it's working so good, just leave it alone. Because I have a terrible tendency to go and play with the weights and stuff all the time. Because I'm always dynamic and I want to keep changing and try to make it better. But this one's really good now. So, and I've got that feedback from lots of Patreons as well that said, you know what, these are the best tree physics we've had yet. So I'm going to leave it alone because I agree, I think it's the best they've ever been. So that will be coming out with the V12 pack as well. The V12 pack is basically just a huge mod release. All these restructured machines. You get a couple maps. You get this map as well as that Frostline Ridge map that I was playing on in the single player series there. You get all these machines. I think it's going to be a really cool release. I'm really excited to get it out to people because my past machines were very cartoony looking. They had a very crappy reputation for just not looking very great. Also, although they handled well, these ones handle way better. Like, much better than I've ever made. Same processor, everything, they all cut better. Some of them have new sound effects. Like, for instance, the processor has new sound effects. I gotta show you this. I just finished this yesterday for the new sound effects on the roller. So let's go cut down a random tree here. It's getting dark in this game. So this is the new processor head. So we're just gonna snip one of these guys. So it's got a new cut. It's a little hissy, but it's directly realistic from an actual processor. So let's drop it here. But the run's really nice. Let's run. Oh yeah, I like that. Oh, it's nice. And then a little kind of a hissy cut, but it's kind of realistic. Also added a little bit more, here, let's drop this so we don't cut a huge piece. So there's particles on the saw now too, so watch. So you run it, there's a particle on the saw that makes it kind of spray a little bit more chips now. I know it looks like a lot of chips, but unfortunately I can't make my own particles anymore, so, but at least it gives it a little bit more of a gutty kind of look to it. Oh, I really like it. I don't know, it's just a, you know, a change. It's good to have a little bit of a change on things. Make them a little bit different. But yeah, V12, new models. Like I said, everything looks really good. Everything's renamed now. Like I said, we got new names for everything because we don't want to break any copyright. Obviously, this is based on the Hitachi, but, you know, we can't actually call it that. So we called it the Wyvern. You know, I think I went over this in another video before. The new machine names and new equipment stuffs. So yeah, that'll be exciting. The V12 pack. I think that leads right into our last question, which is question number 10 from Carson553. And oh no, we got two questions more. I must have put an extra one. Okay, well the next question was something else, but the who's this? Sorry, one sec. My list is all buggered up here. Oh, from James. Okay, James, that would lead to this question. James said, when's the V12 pack coming? I just kind of combined the questions. That's why I confused myself. V12 pack officially releases on April 20th. It's going through beta testing right now, and let me tell you, we're getting lots of good feedback from Patreons. They're giving us lots of updates on what to fix, what to change. So hopefully by the time the 20th comes around, you're going to have a very complete pack that all works fantastically well. So yeah, to answer that question, April 20th is the big day for the mod release, so prepare yourselves because you will not sleep with this new equipment. There's going to be so many things you guys are going to be doing, and I'm really looking forward to watching all the crazy stuff you guys do with the equipment. I think that'll be the real fun in it. Sorry, so the last question was from Carson553, and that will be, when will the snowplow be released? So the snowplow was shown in my single player series there, that orange one, when I was plowing all the decks to getting stuff ready. That one itself was based off of this Pegasus unit. It has since been retired since those videos, but I'm not done making snowplows. I'm using that same kind of body, same image, same style, and I'm making I'm gonna buy or purchase or get my modeler to build a new truck with an actual proper snow blade on the front, because that snow blade that I had was the one off of the bulldozer, and I hated it. It just looked ugly. I mean, it worked, but it was ugly as hell. Like, it was a horrible looking blade. So that's now gone. I'm gonna get a new truck, new body, new everything. And yeah, I'm gonna hook a snowplow to it. I gotta figure out something for the back, because obviously this box on the back's kind of useless on the snowplow. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might make it do something fun or something. I don't know. I haven't really thought of what I want to do with it yet, but we're gonna play around and see what we can do for sure. Yeah, so snowplow comes out, I don't know, probably in the next pack after V12. It's not ready yet, so sorry about that, but we're working on it. But yeah, other than that, I think we pretty much answered all the questions we can answer for today. Yeah, I'm really excited to get this new V12 pack out. I think it's going to be a really good time for everybody. And yeah, I look forward to hearing you guys' feedback and seeing your videos. So if you guys have any questions, shoot me an email, a message, leave a comment, leave a like on the video if you liked it. Don't if you don't. Yeah, I guess we'll catch you guys on the next one, and enjoy yourselves.